Hello, and welcome to the instruction video for the Russo-Japanese War simulation. So, in terms of what you need to play this game, in addition to the cards that I'll go over momentarily, you would need two six-sided dice and a set of percentile dice. And you can use an app if you need to, but basically these just give you a number of 1 to 99, or I'm sorry, 1 to 100. If you get... they can be a little complex, though, for students, so you have to spend some time talking about them. So, for example, this is 41, and if it was to be the 60 in the one, it would be 61. If it was to be, if that 7 came up, it would be, instead of the 1, it would be 47. The one thing, or there's two things that are kind of tricky about these, is that 3-0, if you get all zeros, that doesn't mean 1 or 0, it means 100, right? So if you got double zeros and a 1, that means a 1. But if you got double zeros and then instead of that 1 you got a 0, that would be a 100. And one thing we want to stress with this, in this game, low numbers are good. So again, that's kind of counterintuitive. Usually in games, high numbers are better. But here, because you're trying to roll under a percentage. So when you think about something, right, if something happens 80% of the time, you don't want to roll over 80. That would mean it was if you got an 85, it would mean, oops, it was that 50% of the time it doesn't happen. You would want to roll under 80, right? If you say something happens 60% of the time, that means more often than not, you want to roll under 60, not over 60. So I find they're really useful, but it does take a while sometimes for students to kind of get this because it's so different. And you also need two six-sided dice for each person. And one thing I also want to mention, this is a short game. It just mimics kind of one battle. And one thing, when I use it in class, it's not the main point of the class. The main point of the class is I'm trying to help people understand the Russo-Japanese War. And this is just meant to kind of help them understand a little bit more deeply. It's really, a lot of these games are really designed for review or to be kind of able to be almost standalone. But this game really has to be part of a larger section because it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes at most to get through. And one thing to kind of maybe, and I'll provide some links in the Google Docs or Google Drive file for some videos. But one thing to consider doing is incorporating 203-meter hill into the story, or a similar movie about the Russo-Japanese War, so that students can get a bigger sense of what it is. But that's the key thing, is that this is a short game. And if you're new to this channel and these games, I wouldn't recommend starting with this game because you'll just be like, wow, this took a decent amount of prep, but not a whole lot of class time. But just keep that in mind. So in terms of what else you need the event deck that students will draw from, and you also need these soldier cards. And you want to think about people will die and they'll need new soldier cards, so you want to print out a significant number to make that. And each one, again, part of the goal here is we want people to think about the soldiers as individuals. So in addition to each one having a name, they have a quirk. So Nakamura Takumi is an excellent singer, so that's nice. He's a farmer. And I also included dependents, because one important part of this game is getting people to understand how traumatic the Russo-Japanese War was for Japan as a society, because so many Japanese people died. And the people impacted aren't simply the ones who die, it's their entire families, right? So in this case, Nakamura Takumi, he has a father who suffers from dementia and a wife who can no longer walk, right? So it's a wonder that he even got drafted. And that might be a story to even think about for the students. But that's the idea, is that they need to understand, if this guy doesn't come back home, who is going to look after these folks? So there will be times when you draw a card. So here, for example, if you draw thanks to the prayers of loved ones, you suffer no additional harm. That's great. Nothing bad happens to you. But here, let's say you draw this card. Stirred by the horrors of battle, you find it difficult to continue forward. Make a courage check. If you fail, you panic and run away. So what this means is Nakamura would have to roll under his courage, right? So high numbers are good, low rolls are bad. High numbers are good, high rolls are bad, low rolls are good. Why? Because you want to roll under. Right, so he's Nakamura Takumi is a very brave man, 91 courage. So if he rolled a 90 or below, he would not run away. right? He would not run away. If he rolled a 92, though, he would run away, at which point the student would tell you, hey, this guy ran away, and you would have to give the student a new card. Some cards can instantly kill you, right? So you're caught in an artillery blast and instantly killed. In that case, you just die and you have to give them back. But here, let's say Nakamura drew this one. You were struck by a bullet and suffer minor injury. Check 1 wound box. If that happens, you would physically mark on the card, okay, I took a wound, and then you would just roll, and then you would just go on from there. He would not die. He would just be wounded. Now, one thing that can happen, let's say that Nakamura got struck by a bullet, suffering a minor injury, and then he drew another card that says you're hit in the chest. You take 2 wounds. So if that happens, all of his wound boxes are full. And that doesn't mean he dies necessarily. This is where luck comes into play. So the student would then make a luck check. And if they roll at or under, and you win ties, right? So if you roll 46 or below, that means a medic found him and he was able to survive. However, if you were to roll 47, it means no one got to him and he died. All right, so if you roll over 46 after losing all your wounds, bad luck, you died. If you rolled 46 or under here, in this case, and each character has different stats, if you rolled 46 or under, he would be found and would survive, but would still need a new card. He just wouldn't be dead. So, I say each card has a flavor text, a name, a picture, occupation, dependence, and a quirk. Each round, each person will draw a card. So the class as a whole represents a military unit, and each person would draw a card. You could have multiple decks, like for each table, but they represent the whole class is taking part together. So courage, you roll under or at to succeed. If you go over, you fail on that dice. If you suffer a wound, mark off the number of wound boxes. If all wound boxes are marked off, you collapse and must roll at or under your luck. If you succeed, you're found and receive medical treatment. If you fail, you die. If you collapse, die, or run away, then the student should let your instructor know. So that's again, just some review there, but that's the basic instructions. So what will happen is each round, something will happen, right? So we begin with your soldiers being under artillery bombardment. So each student would draw a card. If they have to make a courage check, they roll under or at to succeed. If they go over, they fail. If they suffer a wound, mark off the number of wound boxes. If all wound boxes are marked off, you collapse and must roll at or under your luck. If you succeed, you're found and receive medical treatment. If you fail, you die. If you collapse, die, or run away, let your instructor know. And basically, we would go through 5 or 6 rounds of that. So it's a game where there's no choices, essentially. It's just meant to simulate what it would be like to just be ordered forward to charge into barbed wire and machine gun fire. And sometimes people have called the Russo-Japanese War World War Zero. And the mass death that impacted Europe in World War I is kind of what happens here to Japan, not to the same extent, but still really, really bad. And that's what this is supposed to capture. And that's one reason why there aren't choices, is you just are ordered forward and you just have to keep going and hope that you win. So there'll be multiple events like that. And then at the end, you do manage to seize 203-meter hill, which is a very important area overlooking Port Arthur. And you do want to take time. And that's, I have this embedded into a whole section on the Russo-Japanese War. You manage to take it, but the question is, can you still hold it? So what I do is I tell everyone who's still alive now, roll your 2d6 and let me know how many successes, 4, 5, or 6s you get. If someone dies, and they no longer have a character, their spirit remains and you roll a d6. Now, like I say, you roll, you get a new character each time, but they die in that last event. They don't get a new character and they just roll 1 dice. Their spirit is still there fighting. If they ran away, then they just don't participate. And the class needs an average at least 1 success per person to hold the hill, right? If they hold the hill, that's great. If they don't, they get pushed off the hill and they're going to have to try again. Now, you don't need to actually run the game again, but that's the idea is that, yeah, look, you all these people died and you took the hill, but then you lost it and you're going to just have to try again. And again, this is not meant to be a fun game. This is meant to be a game where students are like, wow, this is not fun. This is terrible. And if that's their reaction, then you ran the game correctly. So one other thing to note, and it's up to you whether you print out the cards or just show them to the students, but I like to encourage them to think about what happened to their soldiers. So if you had a soldier who survived the war, the last battle, you would give them that card. If you have someone who died, you would give them the relevant card. But if someone had 2 or 3 wounds, I like for their last soldier, I like to give them this card. You survived the battle, but you will suffer the pain of your wounds for the rest of your life. And you can just show show this image, or you can actually give out the cards. I like giving out the cards, but either one is fine. But like I said, this is a short game. Hopefully, though, you can find it useful to help the students understand the difficulties of this conflict.